So I'm actually going to be talking about some real truths, some real career truths around how to navigate your career. My background is in marketing, as Shrikant said. I've spent the last kind of 15 to 17 years now in predominantly tech, and I've climbed up the corporate ladder, but it hasn't all been kind of plain sailing. Before I kind of kick off, I'd love to kind of understand where we're at in terms of the room. So I'm going to ask you guys a series of questions. If you could just answer by putting your hands up, that would be great. Parents, please do also get involved, because I think your perspective would be gold here. So first up, I want to ask, who here has ever been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? All right. Pretty much everyone's hand should be up, because that's such a classic adult question, right? But I want you to keep your hand up if that answer to that question has changed. So, you keep changing your mind, or whether it's how often has that answer changed in terms of what you want to be when you grow up? You can see one brave person out there. Couple more, because me too, I work in marketing, but I am also a strategist. I am a facilitator, I'm a collaboration designer, and I host my own podcast. These are all different things that at 16, I had no idea that these roles even existed, let alone you could get paid to have fun while doing it. My final question is, how many of you feel pressure to make the right decision? Now, this is whether you are choosing your subjects for GCSE A levels, your course at university, even your university, or the job that you have straight out of university. How many of you are feeling that pressure right now? Yeah. The pressure is real, guys, but I also want to say the pressure is a lie, and I'm here to help bust those myths. Perfect. Thank you, guys. So, before we get started, a bit of background in terms of me and my career history. Let me tell you, it is very far from the linear picture that this paints. There is a lot of kind of shifts and movements, but I studied at Queen Mary University, and I'll be very honest, I wasn't a straight A student. I didn't leave university with a grad scheme. My parents didn't have a load of corporate contacts or network for me to kind of lean on or leverage, and I was the first one in my entire family that went into the corporate world. LinkedIn, forget it, didn't even exist then, so I was back to old school kind of networking, putting myself out there, and I tried a lot of things, and I failed at a lot of things, but the most important thing was that I kept trying. I did unpaid work just to get experience under my belt. I think it's ridiculous that even grad level jobs have a number of years requirement in terms of work experience. I mean, how are you going to get that, right? You've spent all your time studying. So go out there, put yourself out there. I took unpaid work. I even took a job that was in marketing but paid expenses, and I think I got around £400 a month for expenses, which barely covered my commute into London. I mean, let's be honest. But my lesson there, and it's something that I continue to kind of take into where I am today, is that point around being curious and trying and failing. And those failures actually taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about what I'm good at, what I'm bad at, what I enjoy doing, and what I definitely don't want to spend the rest of my life doing. And I think those lessons are going to be gold. So definitely kind of put yourself out there, stay curious, I would always say, and always know that there's opportunity in everything for you to kind of learn and grow from. Let's get into the meat of the session, which is the career truths that nobody talks about. First up is, your job will not define your future, your mindset will. And I've worked on market-defining strategy, I've launched products internationally, I'm a podcast host, and guess what? None of those were my first job. And what matters most isn't where you start, it's how you show up, what you bring, your curiosity, your grit, your determination, and your willingness to learn. So in every opportunity, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What is this teaching me about me, about the environment, about people, about my skills, and how am I going to be better? Next up, rejection equals redirection. I mean, if I had applied to a grad scheme at PwC when I was at university, I most likely would have been rejected. But that goes to show that, less than 10 years after I graduated, I was headhunted. They sought me out and they wanted me to lead a very high growth business unit within their consulting arm. I would have never thought that would even be a possibility or an opportunity, but it happened. And what does that show us? Just because a door wasn't open then, it doesn't mean it's not going to open later. And also the detours, it might just be what you need to prepare yourselves for that end goal. Third one is the smartest people ask the most questions. I have seen this time and time again. Confidence isn't having all the answers. We all think that. I mean, I'm at my level even now, and I'm sure my panelists will agree. We don't have all the answers. No one does. It doesn't exist. It's all around being brave enough and curious enough to ask the questions, and I think that's what makes the difference. One of my teachers at school actually told me this. He said, never assume. Because when you assume, you make an ass out of you, and you make an ass out of me. Now, if you spell the word assume, you'll start to connect the dots. But it rings so true, right? When you assume, you don't open yourself up to knowledge, and you don't open yourself up to arming yourself with that knowledge, because we all know knowledge is power, and power is everything. So arm yourself with the knowledge. My advice to you, ask the questions, ask for feedback, ask for help. Mindset matters more than grades. Okay, parents, don't come at me. But I have hired some people with the most average grades, but their mindset, their ideas, their work rate has been absolutely unmatched and epic. And then I've hired people from, Oxford and Cambridge with top marks, and they've fallen flat and they've burnt out because they don't know anything beyond the textbooks. They don't know how to apply it to real world examples. So my point here is, I'm not saying don't work hard and don't get your grades. Do the best that you can, and most definitely get your good grades, because your good grades will get you into the door, but it's not going to help you fly. So what I'm trying to say is, work hard as much as you can and aim high, but if you fall short, do not panic. And I wish someone told me that. If you don't get your grades, there are more than one way to get to your desired career path and be successful, and I'm living proof of that. So come and speak to me later and I can give you some coaching on that. And last but not least, emotional intelligence will take you further than any technical skill. You could be the smartest person in the room, but if you cannot read the room, you are going to get left behind. At school, we are rewarded for, knowing all the answers. But at work, we are seen to how we deal with pressure, how we deal with other people, how we deal with managing ourselves and leading ourselves. And that's really what makes the difference. And you can't do all of that if you can't have kind of basic soft skills. And soft skills is no longer just a nice to have. As Harry mentioned, it's a necessity in a world where AI is going to revolutionize the way that we work and live and operate. It's going to be all, process driven, and they're going to take over all the technical skills. But what makes us different is our human edge. So hone in on those soft skills like storytelling, being able to embody kind of what you're trying to say and effectively communicate. I think that's going to be the game changer that's really going to set you apart. So we've talked about some of the myths. Let's talk about some practical tips that can actually help you. My first tip is always saying yes. Say yes before you're ready. Please do not wait until you are 100% ready and feel that you are confident to tick all the boxes under the requirements of any job, because I'll be very honest with you, it's never going to happen. So early on in my career, I was really curious to try as much as I can and learn as much as I can. And I said yes to things, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to learn on the job. And it served me well, and it will serve you well. And it's something that 99% of people do, but they just don't say it out loud. And I'm here to tell you, do it. Just say yes to the opportunity and figure it out as you go along. Tip number 2, use LinkedIn early, even if you don't have a proper job or an experience. Show of hands, who has a LinkedIn profile already? Amazing. Oh my God, amazing. That's more than I thought. You're already a step ahead of the curve. I think it's such a great platform and a tool for you to build your network, ask questions, learn about things. And even as a student, don't just write student. Just say, I'm curious about learning about technology, or I want to solve really big problems in sustainability. put your personality on there, because your personality is what's going to set you apart from every other candidate that's getting straight A's, or I think it's numbers now, isn't it? Or whatever it is. Put your personality in there and make sure that your personality shines, because that's what's going to make you you. And then the third one is ask for feedback, even when it's awkward. Because asking for feedback, and it's really simple, things that you've done, like say you've finished a project, or you've volunteered, or you've just helped someone out. Ask them a simple question. What's the one thing I did really well? And what's the one thing that you think I could be a little bit better at? Because what does that do? It helps you build self-awareness. It helps you build more kind of scope in terms of what you can develop, and also helps you identify, actually, these are the strengths that I have that I didn't even know that I had. So stay curious. And one thing that I will say is that career ladders are no longer a linear path or a ladder per se. It's more of a jungle gym, right? You are swinging and you will climb and you'll most definitely fall, but it goes back to that point of building that resilience, because life happens and things don't go to plan, and that's okay, and that is really normal, but it's shaping your mindset to have the ability to pick yourself back up and go and build another door if a door isn't open. So I think those are really kind of big call to actions. Just before you cut me off, 1 second. Before I leave, I want to leave you all with a challenge, okay? So some of you already got step 1 done, which is get yourself a LinkedIn profile. If you haven't, do it, because it is free, it takes minutes to set up, and it is so valuable to your building your professional network. Number 2 is find at least 3 people. If you find more, fantastic, but find at least 3 people where you are curious about what they do, whether it's their field, whether it's a certain topic that they're specializing in, and then message them. And use this 3-step framework, ask them about themselves. So message them and say, I'm really interested in how you are reaching out to young people and the way that you are using storytelling to do that, for example. Then introduce yourself, and do not say that you are just a student. Add what sparks you as a student, or what made you go into that specific topic, or how it resonates to their work. And then ask them for feedback, or ask them for advice, Ask them and say, I was wondering if you would be able to kind of give me some advice about X, Y, or Z, or I'd love to discuss this topic with you, would you be free? Because honestly, I get these requests and I love it, and you will be so surprised at how willing people are to just message back and help help the younger community. So please do not ever underestimate the power of your network. So go ahead, build it. And my last leaving message to you guys is, the one thing that you could do is bet on yourself. Not in 5 years' time, not when you're ready, but now.
You're not going yet.
Okay.
You're not going yet. How can one go about identifying and then acquiring emotional intelligence?
I think it all stems back to self-awareness and understanding yourself. So if you are trying to even figure out kind of where my passions lie, for example, take a stock check. Okay, what drains my energy? Don't go near that. What gives you kind of, what revitalizes you? What do you do where, you're like, oh my God, 3 hours have gone by and I don't know where that's gone? Start honing in on that, and then following that and identifying kind of those are your passion points. And then from that, you'll start to identify, okay, these are things that I'm naturally really good at, and then you'll start to kind of expand on your point. But I just realized you talked to me about emotional intelligence. When you talk about emotional intelligence, I think it stems from being curious and asking questions. It always comes down to asking questions, because that point around never assume is so true, especially when it comes to emotional intelligence. I run a team of 55 people across the region of UK and Australia, and for me, they have loads of things going on in their lives, right? Everyone's got home life as well as their work life. But how do I kind of stay attuned to what's going on and not just worrying about the work, you worry about the individual as well. So it comes back to that curiosity point. How was your weekend? You mentioned that your mum was unwell. Is she okay? Asking those basic human questions will help unlock and also peel down layers. I always say people are like onions. You have to peel down layer by layer to really get to the heart and the crux of what it is. And I think ask as many questions, arm yourself with knowledge, because that knowledge will shape how you think and how you see that world, but also will bring context that you didn't even realize was there.